It's finished Liverpool 2, Wolves 2 in the FA Cup third round. A game that pretty much had it all. And yeah, good things, bad things, but I'm sure we'll try and break it down for you today. My name's Dave, talking Wolves as always. Be sure to hit the like button down below, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and let me know your thoughts on what was an absolutely ridiculous game of football. Let's quickly look at how Lopetegui lined Wolves up for this game. Of course, really didn't know what to expect. We've got before today, we had three important games coming up. Obviously, today was one of those, and then Forest in the quarter-final of the Carabao Cup on Wednesday, and then West Ham next week in a must-win game in the Premier League. So I was intrigued to see how Lopetegui lined us up. There were certain Liverpool accounts saying that Wolves were going to field a really young side, but Wolves don't have enough depth to do that. So this is the team that Lopetegui went with, and it's, although rotated, there's still enough quality in there to possibly, give Liverpool a game. We saw Mateo Sarkic starting goal, Dexter Lembikisa at the back with Nathan Collins, Totti and Johnny, Adama Traore, Neves, Hodge and Aït-Nouri with Jimenez and Guedes. And we sort of saw Wolves play predominantly throughout the first half, a 4-4-2, 4-2-3-1. And I thought it worked quite well. It took us a little while to sort of grow into the first half, but we really looked half decent. Against these bigger sides, sometimes what you have to do is capitalise on their errors. And there were times where Liverpool looked really sloppy. Of course, they're missing Van Dijk. Alisson's distribution at times was really ropey, but they were a little bit too casual. There was once where Matip got caught out and Guedes was a little bit unlucky not to have enough control of the ball, and it went out for a goal kick. But in the end, we got our chance. Liverpool messing about with it a little bit at the back. Jimenez tackled, ball goes back to Alisson, and then passes it straight into the path of Gonçalo Guedes, who puts the ball into the back of the net. And he needed that goal, really, Guedes. He's not had a lot of game time under Lopetegui. He needed something to give him that little bit of a boost. And only a few minutes after, when Wolves got Liverpool again on the break, about 30 yards out, he had a really decent effort, Guedes, which tested Alisson. Sometimes these goals give these players a bit of a confidence boost. And I just thought that balance of the 4-2-3-1, the 4-4-2 that we played, Aït-Nouri a little bit more attacking. Adama seemed a lot better because he played almost the full 90 today. Came off the bench against Villa, and I didn't think he was fantastic in that game, but just seemed on it a little bit more today. And of course, unfortunately, Liverpool get the equaliser right on half-time. It's Darwin Núñez, and I've got to say, great finish from him. Great ball by Trent. I'm a little bit disappointed with the clearance from Nathan Collins. I thought he was great. His overall game was good today, but the clearance for me has got to be better. Obviously straight to Trent, who plays that ball back across. I think, obviously, when we clear the ball, we'll try and push back out again. So Lembikisa, obviously young, inexperienced, is out of position a little bit. So Núñez is probably his man, but I can't take anything away from the finish of Darwin Núñez. He's getting in the league, getting in the right places at the right time, but just the wrong finish. And I'm sure, I think Liverpool fans, if they're patient with him for another season, they'll start to see him score more goals. But even though we conceded on half-time, I think I went into half-time pretty happy with the Wolves' performance. Again, started off a little bit slower in the second half, but we looked good going forward, and we looked good on the counter. Obviously, Liverpool took the lead. Now, this is where the controversy starts. The ball comes over the top. Salah, who the ball is aimed at, is in an offside position, and Totti heads it, tries to head it clear, but ends up going behind him to Salah. Nice touch, finish, 2-1 Liverpool. Now, offside, Salah was offside, no debate. VAR checked it, ended up giving the goal. But your argument is, does Totti even attempt to clear that ball if Salah is behind him? Probably, well, he won't. He may as well, he'd probably leave it to run to go to Sarkic. So then does that sort of mean Mohamed Salah is interfering with play because Totti's had to play the ball? So for me, again, I can see that's one of the sort of grey areas in the rules of football, unfortunately. It is what it is, Totti, yes, he's played the ball to Salah, but would he have played the ball if Salah wasn't lurking behind him? So it's one of those, unfortunately. Now, Wolves get their equaliser, thankfully. Deserved with the way we've been playing. I've got to say, the improvement under Julian Lopetegui has been very good. There's been moments and spells since he's taken over where it looks like maybe the same old Wolves. But first half of the Villa game, and I thought today the team showed some real heart and desire, and obviously made some changes. Tried to stick for a little while with that sort of 4-2-3-1. We saw Jimenez come off, who I thought again was poor today, unfortunately. We saw Matheus Cunha come on. We saw Hee-Chan come on. Matheus Nunes come on, who I thought was great. And I think Liverpool fans, would have been intrigued to see how he got on, and were probably licking their lips after his cameo today. Obviously Liverpool so heavily linked with him at the moment, but that's a conversation for another video or podcast. And Matheus has done really well, plays that ball across goal towards Hwang. Yes, we get a little bit of luck. I think Hwang's tried to direct it towards goal. It bounces off Konate, bounces back off Hwang and through the legs of Alisson. So 2-2 in this game, fantastic. And Wolves then, Lopetegui changed it slightly. We had an injury to Aït-Nouri, unfortunately. We saw pretty much a back five. I think Johnny slotted into that back five. We saw Totti and Collins as the centre halves. We saw Hugo Bueno come on alongside Semedo as those wing backs. Semedo coming on for Lembakisa slightly earlier on in the second half. And yes, we were defending, but every time we got the ball, we started to look a little bit better on the counter attack. Adama really looked quite sharp in these sort of foot races and gave Alisson something to think about a number of times. But the biggest controversy is from an attack in Wolves' corner. Matheus Nunes takes it, half cleared by Liverpool and flicked back by a Wolves player towards Matheus Nunes, whips the ball back in, poorly cleared by Liverpool. Wolves put it back towards the goal mouth, and Totti with a back heel finish, which ends up in the back of the net. To me, clear as day, looks like a goal. Totti shirt off in the corner, and the flag goes up. Now, for me, immediately the next sort of phase of play, the next 2-3 passes towards the goal, nobody's in an offside position. Totti's not in an offside position, whatever. The one which is questionable, which I know this is where the offside call would have been, was after Matheus Nunes' corner, the flick back towards him before he crossed it back in towards the area. Was he offside? Now, you would think at Anfield, one of the most famous football stadiums in the world, owned by one of the biggest clubs in world football, who play in the Premier League week in, week out, who have used the VAR system for however many years, would have every blade of grass on that pitch covered. But no, linesman gives offside, it goes to VAR, who keep the decision, but they have to keep the decision because there's not enough camera angles to prove that the linesman was wrong. I.e., they have not got a camera angle to definitively prove that Matheus Nunes was on or offside when he received that ball again, which is absolutely shambolic for Wolves. You saw Lopetegui very unhappy with the decision. He wanted it to check with the VAR. He gets a booking, obviously, from Andy Madeley, who I thought again today, just infuriating performance, especially in the last 10-15 minutes of the game. But that is, I don't want to say corruption, but that is very, very poor and disappointing that as fans, people in the ground, I watched it on ITV today, even in the studio, they haven't got a clue what's going on. They've had to trust the on-field decision by the referee. So, very disappointing that, this VAR system, how do they do it in the Premier League? Sure, I don't know if is it a different camera angles available in the Premier League? Is it a different VAR system? I don't know, but that's shambolic. And obviously, Wolves in the end hold on for a draw. A draw is not a bad result. I think against a rotated Wolves team against an extremely strong, in my opinion, Liverpool team, it's not a bad result. Downside for Wolves is obviously we've got a replay now, so an extra 90 minutes plus on the legs of some of these players. But I've got to say, Lopetegui's really instilled some heart, desire and quality back into this Wolves team now. And I think on Wednesday, if we can go and beat Forest away in Nottingham and then put in a good performance and beat West Ham next week, atmosphere, mood, morale is going to be at an all-time high for Wolves. So really happy with the performance. Obviously, their goals came from two errors for me. Obviously, the Collins clearance and possibly the Lembakisa lack of tracking on Nunes, the Totti header, which has got to be better, but I think he's a little bit unfortunate with the whole Salah situation. But Wolves, you could say, were robbed today of the win. But it has finished Liverpool 2, Wolves 2. Guys, let me know your thoughts in the comments section down below. Lots of controversy, possibly one of my longest match reactions as of yet. They're normally nice, quick and snappy. But no fans react or anything this week with it being a cup, but we'll be back for the Forest game midweek, guys. As always, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and I'll see you all very, very soon.